And it's incredible to think that Henry VIII once came here. Hello and welcome back to my channel, and you join me from the town of Ipswich in Suffolk, and I'm going to take another little history walk around this fantastic town. This will be my fourth history walk around the town, and the other three are on my channel for you to enjoy. In this video we're going to walk from where I am now outside the church of St Mary at Stoke all the way through the town and up to the town's museum. And along the way we'll find some fantastic history and a few things about Ipswich which I never knew about the town before I did a little research into this video. But I'm starting, say, at the church of St Mary at Stoke. Now there's been a church here since about the 10th century. It started off as a very small parish church, but it was heavily extended in Victorian times in 1872 by a man called William Butterfield, and he was a prolific designer of churches and built them and designed them all over the country. It really is just a beautiful day today, and the sun is shining and it's showing the church at its best. Absolutely beautiful walking around the outside of the church. Just a shame that it was closed and I couldn't go inside. But across the road from the church is Rectory Road. Now that may not mean much to many people, but it's actually a filming location for the classic comedy series Only Fools and Horses. Yes, they filmed it outside London in quite a few locations, and one of which was here in Ipswich. Now this was the 1987 Christmas episode. It was entitled The Frog's Legacy, and in that episode Rodney, played by Nicholas Lyndhurst, got a job as a chief mourner for a funeral directors, and in one memorable scene he led the funeral procession up a back street, residential back street, and down towards a no entry sign. And that was filmed here on the corner of Seymour Road and Rectory Road. Seymour Road actually doubled for Peckham Market, and all the characters were here: Boise and Del Boy, Trigger, Uncle Albert, and they all stopped and watched as Rodney led the funeral procession up this little back street here and through the no entry sign, which there isn't in real life, but there was in the programme, creating a memorable scene from one of the funniest situation comedies on British television. And that memorable scene was filmed here in Ipswich. Now I never knew that until I'd done a little research into filming locations in the Essex and Suffolk region, and this one came up, and I thought, well, I had to come and visit the location because I'm such a fan of the show. Marvellous show written by John Sullivan, and I still watch them every day, see them all hundreds of times, all the episodes, and they still make me laugh today. Absolutely brilliant. But anyway, let's head into town and down towards the railway station, Ipswich Town Football Club, and up towards the town's museum, and see what else we can discover here in Ipswich. Just walk down Willoughby Road towards Ipswich railway station. The current building dates from 1860, but it wasn't the first railway station in Ipswich. That was originally a few hundred yards further on on the other side of what's known as the Stoke Tunnel on Croft Street. That was built on the 11th of June 1846. But this railway station here has been serving the town since 1860. And across the road is the Station Hotel. Probably dates from a similar period. But in 1880, the landlord was a Mr. Dixon. And the council granted an extension to his licence for the annual Railway Employees' Dinner back in January of 1880. And it's still going strong today, which is brilliant. Just across from the station is the bridge which leads into town. The original bridge was built here in 1860, obviously to connect with the railway. That was a wooden and iron bridge built by the railway company, but that bridge was replaced in 1927, and that's the bridge that I'm currently walking on. It crosses the River Orwell, and there are some stunning views overlooking the river from up here, which is really pleasant on a sunny day like today. But I wonder if there are people alive in Ipswich who actually remember the old bridge from 95 years ago. It would be interesting to think that there probably still are people who actually remember walking on the old bridge. It's probably just about doable, given the people's lifespan these days. It's quite interesting. But across the other end of the bridge is another of Ipswich's old buildings. This building is called the Maltings. It was founded by Robert Poole in 1842. Now, the Poole family owned a small brewery in the town. They owned about 15 pubs and a thriving wines and spirits business. And it's one of the greatest success stories in Ipswich. And they've preserved the building today. It's now offices. And it's nice to see that buildings have been preserved and given a new lease of life. Just across the road from there is Ipswich Town Football Club here on Portman Road. The club was founded back in 1878 as an amateur club. And they turned professional in 1936. But this area had a bit of a reputation. I think it was back about the 80s, early 90s, being a bit of a red light district. It was popular with gentlemen for a certain activity, which meant that ordinary people of Ipswich could come and score at Portman Road. But it's a very respectable area now, and a football club that's doing rather well for itself. I'm not a football fan, and I don't support Ipswich Town, but many of my friends do, and they do like to tell me of the club's successes from time to time, which is nice. But what a huge building. I've never been to an outside of a football stadium before, so it's quite interesting to have a little walk around the outside. Absolutely massive. I suppose you get a scale of what Roman arenas and amphitheatres might have been like in Roman times, judging by the scale of a modern day arena or football stadium. And this is the Sir Alf Ramsey stand. I think he was the club's manager, but not being a football fan, I'm not quite sure. But no doubt someone will leave a comment in the comment section below and put me right on a few things. And there's a statue here as well. Sir Bobby Robson. I wonder what his connection. Oh, with manager from 1969 to 1982. FA Cup winners 1978 and UEFA Cup winners 1981. An England team manager from 1982 to 1990. World Cup semi-finalists in 1990. Wow, there's a man there who has an impressive record in football. England football manager for what, 18 years? 8 years. Amazing. When I was in Ipswich, not Ipswich, Nottingham, over a year ago, found a statue of Brian Clough. And that was nice to see. Another success there. Brilliant manager who did wonders for Nottingham and their football team. But it's nice to see statues of famous footballers and famous sportsmen wherever I go, because I just know that there's a huge fan base out there who are interested in seeing them. So it's nice to bring them to you. But let's head up into town and see what else we can discover on the way up to the museum. The building on my right-hand side is known as the Willis Building. It was built between 1970 and 1975. Designed by the renowned architect Norman Foster. It was built for the company Willis, Faber and Dumas. I don't know if they're still occupying the building or not, or it's got other people inside it, other companies inside it. It really is quite a marvel of modern architecture. It doesn't look too appealing from the outside because it's all black glass. But when you look at it from the air, the building tells a different story. And it's quite easy to see why in 1991 the building attained Grade 1 listed status. And it really is quite an incredible building. Just turn left onto Museum Street. It's called Museum Street because this is where Ipswich Museum was first located. It's since been relocated to a different street, and we'll get to that a little later in the video. But
it's unusual.
Museum Street and Elm Street, just on the left here, is one of the older streets of Ipswich. There's a beautiful old building on my right-hand side as well. Absolutely stunning. What I've come to look up here is the Church of St Mary Elm. This really is a beautiful old church, but what I've come to see is the door inside this south porch. Now this door is over 900 years old. It's incredible to think of all the people that have touched this door in the past 900 years, all the people of Ipswich who have walked through this church. If this door could tell us some stories, it would tell us the most amazing stories of the people of the parish of St Mary Elm. I find church history absolutely fascinating. Not just for the stories of the people who have attended the church over the years, but for the artifacts that are contained within the church, and to have a door which is 900 years old and still in use. You could have just admired the craftsmanship, the workmanship that went into that door back in medieval times. Absolutely incredible. It's not the oldest church door in existence. I believe that one is at Westminster Abbey in London, and that's over 1,000 years old. But so many church doors throughout country tell a story, and I found a few on my travel, especially in Colchester, and it's really is so exciting to see a door that is of that age. It really is, and it's such a beautiful building as well. But the south porch been re-repaired back in 1848. It's absolutely delightful looking at the outside. Some new statues on the above the actual doorway, but it's just so exciting to walk through the door and to walk through a doorway that people have been walking through for 900 years. Just walked a little further up Museum Street. And just on the right-hand side is a building called Arlington's. Now, this is the location of the first museum here in Museum Street. It's now a cafe, bar, restaurant place where it used to be. I don't know if Arlington's is still open for business, but looking at the photographs of the inside and comparing it to the photographs of the museum that used to be there, you can see that it's hasn't changed. The interior hasn't really changed, apart from obviously the contents. But it's still, again, it's been preserved, and it's lovely to see it with a new lease of life. There's a blue plaque on the front to a lady called Constance Andrews, and she was a suffragette. In the 1907s, Constance participated in the campaign for women's suffrage here in Ipswich, and she founded the Ipswich branch of the Women's Freedom League in 1909. It's nice to know that local suffragettes are remembered in the town. They did so much good in their day campaigning for women's rights, and it's something that women are still campaigning for today in certain areas, and it all traces their roots back to the suffrage movement. It's nice to see. But just up ahead here is a statue which tells a really rather interesting story. Just behind me on the wall, it's a replica statue of the Madonna of Ipswich. Now, there's been a chapel on the site here dedicated to St Mary, and it was first mentioned in the history books back in 1152. And in 1297, Princess Elizabeth, the daughter of Edward I, married the Count of Holland here at the shrine of Our Lady. And over the years, it's been visited by numerous people on pilgrimages, including between 1517 and 1522, Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon. It's also visited by Thomas More, and of course Cardinal Thomas Wolsey, who was born in the town. But the chapel was closed in 1538 under the orders of Henry VIII, part of his policy of the dissolution of the monasteries. And the statue was taken to London, taken to Chelsea for burning. And so the story goes that some sailors recognised it and saved it from the flames and took it away. And that statue now is in the Italian town, coastal town of Nettuno, which is just outside of Rome. And written on the back of that statue in Old English are the words, "Thou art gracious." Every indication that this Italian statue originated here in Ipswich. And it's incredible to think that Henry VIII once came here. So why, if he made pilgrimages to the town, did he have the chapel destroyed in 1538? A reckless act of destruction. Now let's head on a bit further, up towards Ipswich Museum. Just walking up High Street towards Ipswich's new museum. It was founded here in 1880. The premises here is a lot larger than the original building at Arlington's on 13 Museum Street. So I guess to cope with an expanding collection, they needed a bigger premises. And this is it. And it's closed. It's closed on Mondays. That's a great shame. But because it really is well worth the visit. I did come here a few years ago, had a little walk around. So here are some pictures from that visit. Just made my way down from the museum, found a little cafe for a rather refreshing cup of coffee. Oh, that's lovely. It's a change for a cup of tea. I do drink coffee from time to time. This one tastes even nicer because it's been sponsored. So thank you very much to Paul Graham for sponsoring this coffee. Paul followed the link to Buy Me a Coffee, which you'll find in the description below, and purchased a coffee. And if you'd like to do the same and get a mention on my channel, then do as Paul did and visit the Buy Me a Coffee link. But it's nice to sit down after walking through the streets of Ipswich. I do love coming to Ipswich. It's such a fantastic town with an amazing history. And this is the 4th video that I've made from Ipswich. And I dare say I'll make a few more as well, because the history here really is absolutely incredible. But for me, looking at that 900-year-old church door at St Mary Elm was absolutely exciting. Just a shame that the museum was closed. But unfortunately I have to make videos when I've got the time to make them, and I dare say I'll return again to Ipswich and visit the museum, perhaps on a different video. But this is where I end this video, so thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much to Paul, and we'll see you again soon for another video somewhere else. Thanks for watching.